everyone, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Mary Beth.
Thanks for tuning in. We're really excited because we're going to talk about a very uncomfortable, terrible thing. The disease of writer's block. Now, if you're a writer, you know that this thing, this black cloud, this hole, this abyss, rears its ugly head kind of without warning sometimes. So we want to talk about some ways to deal with writer's block, overcome writer's block, and finish that story.
Right.
Okay, what do you got?
Firstly, brainstorming. You did this in your English classes all the way from elementary school up through high school. Just put ideas, phrases, anything down on the paper. Whether you think it has to do with your story or not, whatever's coming to your mind, you want to write it down.
Word vomit, right?
Yes.
Put it out there. Don't judge it. Judgment is the silent, deadly killer of creativity, right? So if your character would never say it, if they would never be in that, so who cares? Right. Just put it out there. Just
because it's floating around in your brain, so it could have some kind of important meaning. You just have to find out how to connect it or what it's going to lead to that will help you get over that hump.
Absolutely. So brainstorming, that is super important. Right. Sometimes I'll jot things down, on receipts, whatever, and go back
in the shower.
Do it any way that you can, just so that you're constantly stimulating. Right. The next thing that might help you is
outlining. I find it very helpful, especially if I haven't written in a while, to go back to the beginning of my story and just do a really rough outline of each chapter. Just the important parts. You don't have to get all nitty gritty into whatever. Just put down a couple of bullets and move on. I feel like going over the things and having it right in front of you can help you see where you need to connect the dots or what it was leading to that maybe, you just forgot.
Especially if you have a complicated plot or you're trying to weave in some characters and their stories and you're hitting a wall with one of those. If you can see where was the last thing you really missed or left off with, it really does help. A lot of writers do an outline, a pretty extensive outline beforehand, and then sometimes that all goes to hell. And I do an outline, but I let the characters also dictate it. So going back and doing just a rough sketch of where you've been and where you want to go can really benefit you.
I agree. Also, I find going back and rereading, when you're doing your outline, you are rereading anyway. So I think that helps you get in the mood, remember the story, and I find little turns and phrases that I'm like, whoa, did I write that?
Yeah. And I'm like,
ooh. Boost your confidence a little. You're like, I could do this. This stuff is good already. Right. I just need to keep going and finish.
Absolutely. Because the key to overcoming writer's block is to continue the writing process and just get to the end. So one of the things you might want to try doing is actually writing the last scene and then working backwards. If you know how it's going to end, even if you don't ultimately keep that ending, it gives your characters something to strive for and a purpose, and they kind of come alive a little bit again.
Yeah, I have to say, for myself as a pantser, one of the things I always go into a story with is knowing the ending. So that can be really helpful. I find it difficult to write out of order, but I know that it works for a lot of people. So don't discount it if you've never done it. Just give it a try. It doesn't hurt anything.
Absolutely. And if you're not comfortable with that, you can just put your characters into any weird, odd situation just to see how they talk and how they react.
Explosion.
People should die. There should be a fight. Somebody should be mad. Something should happen. Torture your main character and you will find the fighting spirit in that character is going to come alive. And,
plot bunny.
Yes.
I had a plot bunny.
And even if you never use it, it's fine. Right. It's totally fine.
It's a bloopers reel for your book.
Absolutely.
I think those are fun. What else do we have? Oh, you can write something completely different.
Start something else.
Use a prompt book just to get your creative juices flowing. Take it and who knows, you could work it into your book at some point, but it's just something to, get pen on paper, fingers on keys, however you do it, just to keep going. If you can write every day, even if it's a journal, if it's grocery list, maybe not, but
You've never seen my grocery list.
It's very creative, I'm
sure. It's an adventure.
I bet it's a lot of adjectives for all her fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
But, just something to get the mind working and get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah. Also, naps help. I mean,
Very good for naps.
sometimes you just have to say,
Power nap.
I can't do this right now, and take a power nap and let your characters kind of speak to you. Snacks also help.
Wine, maybe, if you're of age.
Right, if you're of age, yes. But really, the important thing about writer's block is that a lot of people get dissuaded and they start to think that their story is not worth finishing. Right. And everything is worth finishing, even if just to finish it for yourself.
Right.
So you get through that by writing. It sounds so cliche and so basic, but there's a lot of different ways that you can write without necessarily, having to succumb to that.
Right. And then what's our last thing? If you are really, really stuck and you can't even...
Everything's failed.
Push yourself to sit at the desk or, sit in front of your computer and put, words onto the screen, pick up a book.
Read.
Yep.
We say it over and over that good reading inspires good writing. And it is so true. Because you might, while you're reading, mind will drift off and you'll say, that would be an interesting twist for my story. And then you can put it down and come back to it later. Reading. We call it replenishing the creative well. When your creative well has run dry, you need to replenish it, right? So you can go out and maybe you find a cute British boy to make out with. I don't know, right?
Maybe.
I mean, maybe it's on my wish list. I'm not sure. But whatever it is, you have to live your life, but you also need to read. Writers have to read.
And don't be afraid to read your genre. You need to know what's out there. I've heard people say, I don't want to read anything in fantasy because it might influence my ideas. That's the point.
Right.
You want to be influenced. That doesn't mean you're going to,
plagiarize.
Right, exactly. It's really hard to be original, 100% original these days because art has been around in some form for
ever.
Right.
Forever.
So, things need to be inspired. Look to all the fairy tale retellings out here. The Lunar Chronicles, Everland, Ash. They're all classic, well-known stories that have been around for years that they have taken and twisted to be great stories that, seem familiar, but it's not, a word-for-word retelling of that classic tale.
At the end of the day, there's only so many themes and so many things that can happen to people. The whole idea of writing is to communicate our unique experiences and make them as original as we can. And you have to remember, only you can bring what only you can bring to the table. So it's going to be original if it's coming from you. Read, absorb everything in your genre and stuff that's not in your genre as well. And
step outside your comfort zone.
I think you'll find that, the more that you do that, it's all about being active. When you're passive, nothing gets written, nothing gets done.
I agree 100%.
Stay active, read, talk to a buddy, let a buddy read it and give you some feedback, beta readers, and just friends, just critique partners.
Yeah. We'll get to that
another time.
Yes, we will have another whole video about that.
Absolutely. So we would love to hear, how do you overcome writer's block? What are your go-to snacks?
Are you stuck right now? Can we help you? Do you want a prompt? Let us know below, and we will certainly get back and help you with that.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.
See you next time, literati. Keep turning those pages.
Toodles.